Welcome, trainers, to the PokeSphere. We're your destination for in-depth Pokemon news, community discussions, and editorial content. We're passionate about this franchise, and we're here to share our insights and connect with fellow fans. So let's talk Pokemon. If anyone hasn't been keeping up to date with what's been going on lately, Nintendo has had quite a few blows this past month, actually, I believe. Not only has Japan rejected one of their patents, but now the US Patent Office is looking over some of their other patents that have come up to be a little bit questionable, as well as one other event that has hit Nintendo in just a massive combos of L's. And so let's get started with first the hack, because that actually happened before the issues with the lawsuit, and kind of starts this whole timetable of the tail spinning L's. So apparently a group called Crimson Collective claimed responsibility on Twitter for hacking into Nintendo, which has been confirmed that there was a server breach. However, they say that no important data was stolen. However, the image that was posted by Crimson Collective shows things like dev admin, dev assets, previews for different types of things between what's in development, what's in production, what's in staging, topics as well, just I'm assuming general topics. There is also some stress test information that they've managed to yank. Now, again, I mean, as much as it's confirmed that there was a hack, the legitimacy of the files shown in the image are questionable until there's any kind of actual verification that these are in fact the files that were taken and there's something substantial in there. But right now, Nintendo's currently playing this down. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to my co-hosts. What are your thoughts right now about the fact that Nintendo got breached yet again 1 year after the Tera leak?
I mean, this is becoming one of the biggest things in the entire world. Pokemon alone, not counting Nintendo as a general, is the largest IP in terms of profits on a daily basis for years now. Most people will think like Disney and other conglomerations, but no, this one intellectual property dominance. So it's not a big surprise that these things are being targeted. For some of us older folks, you might remember back in like the early 90s, when we were shifting from Macintosh over to actual PCs and Windows, and how Windows was under such an assault because it was such a big thing back then, especially amongst the business sectors. So any information coming from what Nintendo's doing, what they're planning, especially ahead of the curve, can have two major effects. One, it's going to kind of be valuable to the people who have it. This is valuable information nowadays that you can use to gain clout online, or even just sell to other people that want to use this to get clout. Corporate espionage, other companies that want the ideas and stuff like this that they can build on and hopefully release before Nintendo does so, is another factor. Otherwise, like, just the general value of having that information or having the company know that it's out there might be a means of controlling what we see released in future titles. Because if things get released, if the fans start basing things off of that, then the fan art and everything is going to apply this weird pressure to Pokemon Official to not do anything that's too parallel to that. It could actually be an interesting control element that this Crimson Squad or whatever is actually implying in choosing what they release from what they've obtained. But otherwise, I don't know too many logistics beyond just kind of ballparking what I've mentioned here. I don't know, Ryu, you're kind of more into the gamer side of it. How do you think this might affect your future gaming experiences with Nintendo?
I would say it all depends, but the main thing is mostly likely the leaks and the data that people would share. How will it affect me as a gamer? I'll say it depends. Like I said, it could be good or bad. So, but also I'm not surprised that we're getting more and more like leaks and rumor stuff, and that Nintendo being breached again. That's just the case. So it's just not good for them.
Now, mind you, I should reiterate the fact that it was over 500 gigs worth of information that was taken by this group. So last year we had the Tera leak, which was 1 terabyte of information that was yanked. And now on top of that, there was another, it was between 500 and 600 gigs in total that was actually taken from Nintendo servers this time around. And The weird thing is, as soon as this was announced, more images and leaks for PLZA came out from the Tera Leaks. So not only did Nintendo have to deal with this year's breach, but they were also being haunted by the ghost of last year's breach as well. And to be honest, that is a lot to deal with in under a week. Because if I remember the timetable correctly, the leak was announced, or the breach was announced on like a Friday, and then come that following Tuesday, it was just PLZA leaks all over the place. So, like, Nintendo really took a massive hit that week alone. Do you think this is going to negatively impact Nintendo with what's going on as far as what they're working on in the future? Like, how does this make you feel knowing that this company has been having 2 massive breaches inside of a year?
I mean, it's not looking good for them. Everything's being leaked and stuff, and the future game, it hasn't been revealed yet. So, and how I feel about it, I would say not too good, because I would rather just wait, be surprised and have Nintendo or have it be revealed by them, instead of just being from leaks or from rumor.
I mean, we've already seen the way that the marketing and the hype cycles, at least for the Pokemon branch of Nintendo, is really kind of having an effect on the demand for this information that the leaks are kind of giving that scratch for the itch, so to speak. And if Nintendo doesn't find some sort of balance in the way that they do their marketing, especially, like I said, I'm focusing mostly on the Pokemon side of it, because I do believe that's the most valuable information whenever somebody's going after Nintendo right now. Since we got the most recent console is already out here in the world, that we're going to keep seeing more and more leaks replacing what the official company should be doing with their advertising, marketing, and hype cycle for these titles and for this IP. Obviously, we're not getting enough from them that we're going to other sources, or that these sources feel like there's a demand in the world that this is valuable information. Other than the control elements and the money, I mean, isn't that what everything in this world comes down to, man?
Weeks later, hot after the release of PLZA, to some success, because I believe the game did gross quite a bit of money.
I do remember seeing a lot of press and stuff through my social medias about how ZA had very impressive sales for the amount of backlash and hate that we were seeing going into it. I just think that the community is, divisive, and negativity sticks with us a lot stronger than positivity.
Well, according to the numbers, they sold 5.8 million copies worldwide in the first week, making it the 5th biggest launch for the franchise, which is very significant. And so it doesn't look like the leaks hurt it terribly, all things considered, considering the fact that you also have to take into account this is a solo game, as a standalone game, as opposed to the standard mainline franchise of 2 games. So that in itself is impressive. But, with the success comes the fact that they are embedded in this lawsuit with PokeSphere over a lot of the mechanics found inside of the games for Pokemon Legends, Scarlet and Violet, as well as Pokemon Legends ZA. And so brings us to the second half of this conversation, where, now that they've been dealing with the leaks and the hacks, Nintendo takes another L when Japan rejects one of the patents that Nintendo has been using against PokeSphere, which is in regards to the capture patent, where I believe they've cited that the mechanic in itself was too,
I believe it was that they let the mechanic lack creative differences to the original concept in Pokemon.
Correct. It's basically that they found that it was too similar to other games, and they actually cited games like Ark, Monster Hunter 4, Craftopia, which ironically is another PokeSphere game, which had to really sting. And Kentai Collection was another one that was cited as part of the list that was brought against this particular patent and why it was rejected. So right there, this was something that PokeSphere actually had to change because of this lawsuit, and now that the patent has been rejected, I'm actually wondering if PokeSphere is going to reverse their change on Palworld. But that's going to be to be seen.
It honestly makes a lot of sense. I mean, the idea of capturing something device that you later use as a battle system or anything has been proliferated everywhere. I mean, let's just work back from how many different like Nexomon and various things. Yu-Gi-Oh! Even was based on the idea that these things were stored, the spiritual element of the monsters were in stone tablets. You keep going back further and further, and eventually you realize that the reason Pokemon pocket monsters was originally capsule monsters was because they were inspired by the Kaiju capsules from the Kamen Rider era, where you would capture Kaijus and use them to fight other Kaiju. This has been existing for so long. Like, where is the creative step even from the Kamen Rider and being able to use the Kaijus in the Pokemon? And then from there, you could take any step where if something has its own little travelable home that you can carry with you, and then you release it into the wild, whether you're using that for battle, traversal, or just play for, like Nintendogs, then yeah, where you got to really define the inventive or creative difference in what's going on. You just can't change one note in the musical score and all of a sudden call it an entirely new song.
You can actually ask Vanilla Ice about that one.
I mean, there's been plenty of games that, has monster hunting, catching, and then raising them too, right? Because Nintendo doesn't own it, or Game Freak doesn't own it. So, for them to be, what they call it, rejected, so, which is not super, because they couldn't do much after what happened, so.
And then the other patent that is now being looked at again is the US patent, where it involves the gameplay mechanic involving a summoned character. Now, this one was, I believe, a recent approved patent that now is getting looked at again because of the validity of how it's supposed to operate. Covers specific mechanics where an in-game character is summoned to support the player in battle.
So basically, the only reason Digimon isn't falling under this to bring back the old school battle is because you didn't summon them using your Digivice. They were kind of always hanging out with you, and the Digivice was just the means of communicating when they were in their world. That's the inventive step that we're seeing not really played on in some of the other modern capture feature collecting games, where you're just using a ball or a triangle or something like that to use them and then bring them back out.
Well, this was they're also citing older games that use a summoning type of mechanic, so similar to like the original, some of the old Final Fantasy games where you used to play a I know in Final Fantasy 3, which was actually Final Fantasy 4, you had play the summoner, and you would be able to summon characters you would battled and mastered throughout the world. And I believe that either predates Pokemon or comes close to it. Then you've got other games like Shin Megami Tensei, which is, the grandfather of all these monster capture games. And so the U.S. Patent Office took a look at it and decided, you've patented something that existed before your game did. And this is a very rare occurrence, apparently, in U.S. patents. But apparently there's a 2019 patent application that has prior art. And even then, there's the 2002 from Konami that has an automatic battle mode for sub-characters that had existed. So there's previous patent applications that have been cited that, whether or not, I don't know if they actually exist or not, but the fact that there's people who have already attempted to patent the exact same thing and Nintendo was given it and not these older requests, I guess brought question in the US Patent Office, so that this is why they're re-investigating whether or not this needs to be granted. This would open up PokeSphere to, again, potentially removing the changes that they had made to help ease the lawsuit that they were going through. But it also puts a big slap on Nintendo going, hey, no. Bad Nintendo. No donut. If this patent gets taken away, I mean, your thoughts on, number one, the patent, and again, what do you think, or what do you hope that the outcome will be with the patent being rejected at this point?
Honestly, let's go back. Let's go back to the days when we saw Monster Rancher and Digimon and Pokemon and and all these things exploding onto the scene. Like, and honestly, go America for it. Like, the idea of causing this situation that proliferates choice, is that not a very American kind of thing? Like, we're going to eliminate this monopoly that Pokemon is having on using a device to capture your friends and bring them with you and then use them to fight you in battle. I mean, in Kingdom Hearts, if Sora had any form of like, if you said his friends were virtually in his phone that he carried with him, then that would be an infraction of that thing. So the patent seems very vague. There's outdated things like you've mentioned. I mean, honestly, dude, if you award this to Pokemon, you're just going to show how big corporations can just have their way regardless of what the truth is. And I'm honestly, as much as I'm a Pokemon fan and nostalgic for it, I would like to see the Monster Wars start back up, because then we get our choices in the little details, the little things. You'll see a copycat of Pokemon Elias. They literally do everything that you've ever thought of for your dream game that might be different from everyone else's dream game. And that's going to be a beautiful thing that actually exists and is, even if it's not official, it's still available to you to enjoy.
So if you're talking about this patent removal, then that means they'll have to come up with a different way or different idea, like to make a new gaming, whether it's a spin-off or mainline. So yeah. And then what hopefully is I'll allow them to be more creative, not just there's the same thing over and over like they've been doing for generations. Like, for example, how they made Sun and Moon, which completely changed the way how the mainline Pokemon games played, which is pretty nice. And I actually like the style and no gym battle for it.
First off, I hate you for making me feel old. Has been happening for generations. Pokemon has not been out to... Oh, God, it has. Literally, the thought process in my head. Like, it hasn't been generations that... Oh, God, yeah, I'm old. There has been generations of Pokemon players.
It's okay. Dragons live a long time.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, this has just been one L after another for poor old Nintendo. Poor old quotation marks there. But I think this is kind of karma biting them in the back, because it was the lack of information that spawned the whole Tera Leak feeding frenzy that we saw. It was the fact that Nintendo has tried to overreach with suing PokeSphere that has brought a lot of attention to Nintendo to begin with over their perceived monopoly on the monster catching, monster taming type games. And honestly, this is the karma that's coming back to haunt them, because everything that they have done to lock down and isolate anything that can challenge their flagship property has now been put in the public eye and is basically being challenged left and right, which honestly, I mean, I've said it before, I'm saying it again, I'm a shareholder in Nintendo. I am a gamer. I'm a content creator. I am opposed to everything that Nintendo has been doing against PokeSphere, because PokeSphere came out with a very good alternative that isn't on a Nintendo platform, because Pokemon isn't on anything except the Nintendo platform. So there's no competition there when it comes to who's buying what on what system. I mean, if you bought a Nintendo, if you've got a Switch or a Switch 2, the probability of you picking up a Pokemon game, if you are a Monster Tamer fan, is pretty high. I own a Switch, I own a PC. I bought both. They both play differently to me, but one made me miss the other. And honestly, it was that synergy that kind of kept me coming back between the two games. I wanted to try something a little bit different. Then after I had a taste of that different, I wanted to go back to one of my old haunts because I missed it. And it just, it was a very symbiotic feeding of wanting to keep playing. But what Nintendo has done is honestly, they have honestly just killed my love of this franchise to a degree, I guess. I don't know, I went off on a rant, I'm sorry. But I do believe that this is karma coming back to haunt Nintendo. And I'm hoping that they start, with the new leadership change at the end of the year, that they kind of start learning a lesson that they need to be more open to competition, because competition breeds innovation, which innovation is what's going to keep people coming back, I think.
I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot of it, from the way that this started with the lack of the marketing and the hype cycles, to just the fear element of the leak, the competition. And I mean, when you get so big, you're going to be afraid of losing that power. You mentioned Final Fantasy, and Seymour Blotto is one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters of all times. And one of my favorite scenes is where he eliminated somebody, not because they were a competition to him, but because they were competition to themselves. And he did them the quote-unquote favor of eliminating that fear of losing that power. And that's something that Pokemon might actually want to consider. Like, if you're going to be so paranoid about losing your seat at the top of the hill, you're going to cause paranoia amongst your fan base and amongst the people that put you on top of that hill, and they're going to be scared and go look for somebody more stable to put on top of that hill.
That's actually a really good analogy. I like that. Yeah, we're gonna end it on that. That is definitely where we're gonna end it. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on what we've discussed, what we've talked about, what we've brought up? Do you think that this is karma? Do you agree with what the patent offices are doing right now regarding the lawsuits? Let us know down below. Also, be sure to share, like, subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. We're also on X, Blue Sky. We're on Rumble and YouTube, and we do have a Discord. Links are all down below. And as always, we'll see you in the next video.